Hi everyone, I'm Dan Hanson. I've always planned on doing at least one Fun with Maps episode on one or more of the STAN countries, the ISTAN countries, but it just wasn't on the schedule yet. But now, unfortunately, with the troubles in Afghanistan, I wanted to get a Fun with Maps episode out there to give you some kind of perspective where Afghanistan is, some of the boundaries, some of the bordering countries and all, and in this very troubled location here to give you some perspective as you're watching the news. So, in the heart of Central to Southern Asia, there's a group of about 7 countries called the STAN or the ISTAN countries. They're called that because the suffix of their name is STAN or ISTAN. So you have Pakistan and Afghanistan and Uzbekistan. Those are the ISTAN, the STAN countries. So in the Persian language, ISTAN means a place abounding with, or basically just the land. So Uzbekistan would be the place of the Uzbeks. Tajikistan would be a place of the Tajiks. Kazakhstan, a place of the Kazakhs. Things like that. So that's what the ISTAN or the STAN suffix means. In the English and Germanic languages, we have something like that too. We use actually the word land. So you we actually use the word land. So England, Scotland, Deutschland, things like that. And no, even though I'm from Cleveland, Cleveland is not. Cleveland, of course, was named for Moses Cleveland, and not the land, even though we call ourselves the land with our sport teams and all. So today we're going to take a quick look at the STAN countries, then look a little more at Afghanistan. We won't, as our policy, we won't get into politics. We're not going to touch on the long history of Afghanistan with all the conquerings and tribes and wars and Silk Road and everything, but it's something you'll want to check out yourself sometime. So let's take a quick look at the STAN countries. Our map of Asia, and you can see there's China, India, all that, and we're going to zoom in some of these STAN countries. So this first one we're going to look at is the biggest. That's Kazakhstan right here. You can see it borders Russia and China, Uzbekistan, some of the other ISTAN countries. With an area of over 2.7 million square kilometers and a population of nearly 18 million, Kazakhstan is the largest of the Central Asian countries, of the STAN countries. The country is so large, in fact, it's the 9th largest country in the world by area, and it's the largest landlocked country in the world. So, no ports to the sea anywhere here. Here is the Caspian Sea, but that doesn't go out to the ocean, so it's landlocked. There's Kazakhstan. Like the other Central Asian STAN countries, Kazakhstan was part of the USSR, the Soviet Union, until 1991. It continues to have a large ethnic Russian population today. And here's the capital city, Astana, and that, by geography, it's the second coldest capital in the world. So Astana, Kazakhstan. That's Kazakhstan. If we look down here, probably more familiar with Pakistan. See it bordering India there and Afghanistan and little China there. So Pakistan, let me zoom in on this. Okay, so here's Pakistan, bordering India, China, Afghanistan, all that. Technically, Pakistan is more of the South Asian region of Asia, but it does border the rest of the STAN countries, and it's got some minority populations from those countries. So obviously it's much smaller in area than Kazakhstan, which we just looked at. But in population, it's got nearly 200 million people. Kazakhstan had 18 million, so 200 million people. So that makes it the 6th largest country by population in the world. So that's Pakistan. And the largest city is Karachi. It's down here. Karachi has over 21 million people just there. Karachi was Pakistan's first capital when it became independent in 1947. And then in the 1960s, the country changed its capital to Islamabad up here. Part of the reason is to just have the capital in a more central location. So there's Pakistan. Now let's look at, zoom in on Uzbekistan. Okay, so here's Uzbekistan in this pink type color there. There's 30 million people in Uzbekistan, so that's larger than most countries in Europe. Not nearly as close as big as Pakistan, but it's a lot of people. When it was in the USSR, it became a big cotton producer. It still is. It operates the world's largest open pit gold mine, and it's the largest producer of electricity in Central Asia. Now, here's a fun with maps fact. There are two countries in the world that are double landlocked. And by double landlocked, I mean it's a country that is landlocked, but surrounded by countries that are also landlocked. So here's Uzbekistan. It's landlocked, and it's surrounded by countries that are also landlocked. So that's double landlocked. The other country in the world, if you're ever on Jeopardy, remember this, the other country that's double landlocked is Liechtenstein. So that's a fun with maps fact. Let's take a look at Tajikistan. So here's Tajikistan. You know, it's bordering China here, and Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, and some of Pakistan and all. It's only got 8.7 million people. It's picturesque mountains and rivers. It's larger than England, for example, in terms of land, but its population is smaller than just the city of London. So its capital city is Dushanbe. See right there, there's Dushanbe to the west. And Dushanbe in the local Tajiki language means Monday. So they named the capital Monday, or Dushanbe, because it was a market town. It used to be a market town. It was only open on Mondays. So it's got high elevation, small country, but high elevation, and lots of rugged mountains and glaciers, including the largest glacier in the world not located in a polar region. So that's Tajikistan there. When we look at next, let's zoom in on a little to the north of it, is Kyrgyzstan. So more than 75% of Kyrgyzstan here is mountainous. It's bordering China and Kazakhstan there, and Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. So there's a lot of mountain lakes and glaciers. It's got a picturesque mountain lake called Issyk-Kul, which is the second highest lake in the world after Titicaca in Peru. So only a third of the country lives in urban areas. It's very rural still, and most of those urban ones live in the capital of Bishkek up here. And then we've got Turkmenistan. Let's go over to that. So here's Turkmenistan, and you can see it's bordering Iran and Afghanistan and Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan here, and it's also got a long coastal region with the Caspian Sea. So here's the Caspian Sea over here. There's Turkmenistan. It's relatively small. It's only got a population of about 5 million, and even though it's got this Caspian Sea border here, it's still a large proportion of the country is desert, and it just can't support agriculture. And then we get to the Istan we're looking at today in this episode of Fun with Maps, and that's Afghanistan. So here we go. So here we have Afghanistan, and you've heard of Kandahar, maybe of course Kabul, the capital, and you can see it's bordered by Pakistan, Iran, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and see this little continuation here? That's a border with China, which is important politically. So Afghanistan is surrounded by all these other nations. Obviously it's landlocked. It was part of the Silk Road, which we'll talk about in a minute. So let's zoom in a little on Afghanistan. So here's a map of Asia, and you can see here's Afghanistan. So like Pakistan to its south, Afghanistan is considered to be part of South Asia. even so, it does border 3 of the Central Asian stand countries that we talked about. So it's got Tajikistan and Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan there. The country has been an important center for human civilization for over 2,000 years, part of which is because of its central location here. It was along the historic trading route called the Silk Road, which we know about, going through Europe, through Asia to China, the whole Silk Road. And its location has attracted the interest of many outsiders over the years, from Alexander the Great to the British, the Soviets, the Americans, NATO. Today, Afghanistan has over 34 million people, including many minority ethnicities from the neighboring stand countries. So here's a little closer look at Afghanistan. This is another CIA map. And here's Afghanistan, Pakistan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Iran, and China up here with that little connection right here. So, as we know, Kabul, capital, has been in the news. You've heard of Kandahar. Afghanistan is about 250,000 square miles, and it's mostly mountainous. It's got plains in the north and the southwest. Kabul here, the capital, has a population of about 4.6 million people, and it's mostly ethnic Pashtuns and Tajiks and Hazaras and Uzbeks. So here in Kabul, about 4.6 million people. It's the world's 41st largest country, so that makes it a little bigger than France, maybe about the size of Texas, the United States. So you can see there's no coastline. It's landlocked, as we've said. Its longest land border, the Durand Line, is with Pakistan here, right along here, and it's got borders with Tajikistan here, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, China, and India recognizes a border with Afghanistan through Kashmir, which is administered by Pakistan. So, human habitation of Afghanistan dates back to the Middle Paleolithic era, and because it's strategically located on the Silk Road, it connected the cultures of the Middle East and other parts of Asia. So it's been home to various peoples. As you know, it's got a long history, military campaigns and occupations, from Alexander the Great to the Muslim Arabs, the Mongols, the British, the Soviets, the United States, and NATO allied countries. People have called it unconquerable. It's been nicknamed the graveyard of empires, but it has been occupied several times through its history. The root name Afghan, according to some scholars, comes from the name of Asakan, which are inhabitants of a region, a Hindu Kush region. It literally means horsemen, horse breeders, or cavalrymen. So this is a NASA photo of Kabul, the capital. So much in the news right now. Here's the airport up here. Here's the Kabul River. And for more than 3,000 years, because of its strategic location along both the Central Asian and Southern Asian trade routes, it was the late 18th century really that Kabul was established as Afghanistan's capital. And due to the geography of Afghanistan, transport between various parts of the country has historically been difficult. So the backbone of Afghanistan's road network is Highway 1, often called the Ring Road, and it's about 2,200 miles or 1,300 miles long, and it connects Kabul and Ghazni and Kandahar and Herat and other cities. So here in this map you can see some of the topography, and you can tell it's a tough geography there, and that's why the transportation is pretty tough. So here's Kabul again, here's Kandahar, Jalalabad here, Herat there. It's pretty tough in this another NASA photo of the topography. So as always, we avoid political commentary and fun with maps. We're also not going to get into the history of Afghanistan. It would take about 50 hours to just touch on it. but I do encourage you to learn more on your own. It's a fascinating story with familiar names such as Alexander the Great and Genghis Khan, and hopefully this next chapter in the history of Afghanistan will be safe and good for the people of Afghanistan and the region. So let's end on a little lighter note with this Fun with Maps fact. The official national animal of Afghanistan is the snow leopard, pictured here, and that was chosen in 2006 for its symbolism of bravery, wildness, fearlessness, magnificence, and beauty. And here's our Cleveland connection. The Cleveland Metro Park Zoo is home to snow leopards in the Asian Highlands exhibit. It's really worth a visit if you get a chance to see it. So, snow leopard is the official national animal of Afghanistan. So that's our Fun with Maps episode about Afghanistan. It's a quickie. Like I said, we didn't get into politics. We never will. And it's got a fascinating history of that country and that whole region. If you're interested, I encourage you to check it out because it's really fascinating, but it's way beyond the scope of this episode. We just hope that the people of Afghanistan and the surrounding regions are safe and have a chance for a good life. So until the next time, I'm your host, Dan Hanson, and we'll see you on the next episode of Fun with Maps. Keep on having fun with maps. Thanks.